Well, are you ready?
I'm ready.
This is our 10th episode.
Wow, 10.
You excited? Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's pretty exciting, isn't it?
It's very exciting.
10 episodes.
10.
Don't forget, we're looking at that camera up there.
Yes, that camera.
Well, greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, your Viceroy of Verisimilitude, your Master of Fun and Wonder, your Chancellor of Cheerfulness, your Archduke of Banterbury, and your existential Mr. Rogers, Robert Meyer Burnett, and I am here with my lovely co-host,
Elizabeth Gwendolyn Bell.
And what show is this?
This is Elizabeth's Whining About Movies.
Whining About Movies, episode 10.
Number 10.
You've stuck with it. How do you like show business?
It's fun.
There's no business like show business.
No business like show business.
Well, this is Whining About Movies, and we've got a really good movie tonight.
Yes, we do.
I thought it was a little too mainstream, but you hadn't seen it.
I had not seen it.
It's one of my favorites. I mean, one of my favorite directors, Bob Fosse. But before we get into that,
Yes.
I want to say greetings to all the members of you, the Post-Geek Singularity, you members of this, the Post-Geek Singularity, who are imagination connoisseurs. It's Friday night, episode 10 of Whining About the Movies. And as you all know, we have wine, and tonight we almost didn't have any wine. We're out of wine.
Yeah, we had to venture out and buy some wine.
So we went to Stater Brothers and found on sale Acacia.
Yeah.
Acacia. A nice Acacia Pinot that we picked up on sale. I think it was, what, $12 or something? $10, $12, $13?
On sale, yeah.
It was on sale?
Yeah.
So we've been doing a lot of Pinot.
I'm kind of a Pinot fan.
Okay, well, you're a Pinot fan.
But you know what? We should have done a Cabernet.
Oh, look
because
at you.
Because of Cabaret.
Wow, look at that.
But
okay.
Didn't do it.
Wow. All right. Well, let's cheers to tonight's movie. Say a healthy pour for you there.
That's a healthy pour.
Healthy pour. So, cheers.
Cheers.
I can smell your perfume. It's interfering with my fragrant enjoyment.
Ooh.
I like your perfume too, though.
Oh, thank you.
Well, this is a fine drop. You like this?
This is very nice.
It is very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, gentle beings, kind people, however you identify yourselves, you're all welcome here. Tonight, we drink to a 1972 musical that is considered in the annals of Hollywood the movie that changed musicals forever. And I'm, of course, speaking about Cabaret, directed by one of my favorite directors, Bob Fosse, who had only directed one feature film before this, Sweet Charity, that was based on a hit Broadway play that did not turn into a hit movie.
No.
It was not a hit movie. Normally when that happens, you're put in director jail. But in the case of Bob Fosse, who had become one of the great choreographers in Broadway history, he started out doing bit roles and secondary roles, in musicals, like I believe, starting in the 50s.
Yes.
And then he worked his way up. He became a choreographer after he boldly asked to choreograph one of his own dance sequences in a motion picture, and the director allowed him to do so. And after that, he was off to the races. So he had become one of the greatest choreographers Broadway has ever seen. And 1972, he had to fight to get to direct this movie. They wanted other people to direct it, the producers other than him. And he was able to direct the film Cabaret. Well, why don't you tell people Cabaret takes place in 1931 Berlin.
Yes, 1931.
Where the beginning of National Socialism starts to bubble up to the surface.
Yeah.
And so what goes on? What happens in this movie?
Okay, so it's 1930s Germany, and you find our main character works in a cabaret, in a bar,
Club.
the Kit Kat Club, and
Liza Minnelli,
and they do these shows, these cabaret shows, and it's all about her and her personality and how she meets her best friend who ends up being her lover.
Played by Michael York, Logan from Logan's Run, also Basil Exposition from the Austin Powers films, also from the Three Musketeers movies. Very pretty Michael York arrives. He is a professor at, well, he's going to be, or he was, or he's a professor from Cambridge.
Right, and he was working on his PhD,
I think, and he's come to Berlin. He's going to teach languages and brush up on his German. And, of course, we're coming right off the Weimar Republic, the Roaring 20s in Germany, and it was quite a place. The nightlife was amazing, and these cabaret clubs were all the rage in Berlin, and we have Joel Grey as the master of ceremonies.
Oh, my goodness, he was amazing.
He was amazing. He might be a demon from hell. You don't know.
Yeah.
He is very bawdy, and he
Yes.
leads the debauchery every night at the Kit Kat Club.
Yes.
And really, Liza Minnelli wants to be an actress. She keeps saying her father is a diplomat. We don't even know if he really exists.
Yeah, who knows?
We don't know. I mean,
He exists, he just disappoints her.
she disappoints her, and basically she just wants to perform and make love and party and have a great time in the way you could only do in 1931 Berlin. And Michael York's character is very buttoned up.
Yes, he's very British.
He says he's only slept with 3 women in his life, and it all went bad each one of the 3 times.
Right. And so then at that point you think, oh, he's gay, right?
You think he's gay.
It turns out he's bisexual.
Which is a big component of this movie that was scandalous at the time.
Yeah. I was surprised that was an element, and pleasantly surprised. I mean, it's interesting.
Yes, it was interesting. And of course, Bob Fosse, it does not shy away from these things.
Right.
They were in... Bob Fosse, after he directed this, he made Lenny, which was basically a biopic of Lenny Bruce. And then he made All That Jazz, which is one of my top 10 favorite films of all time. But what's interesting, what he did with this movie, and if you listen to anybody like Rob Marshall, who directed Chicago, so there's a tie there. Rob Marshall talks about in the documentary for this movie, the thing that Cabaret did, God love him, was he wanted to give the musical verisimilitude. So instead of having people bursting out into song on the streets of New York.
This is what made it a different musical, because all the music is contained within the cabaret. There's only one other piece that's not within the cabaret, but it's also not like 2 people singing to each other.
Right.
So you really don't, it doesn't have the feeling of that kind of musical.
No, he wanted to make a musical that felt real. So all of the musical numbers, by the way, each number informs what's going on in the plot.
Yes.
It all has a much bigger meaning. And in other musicals, you'd see these characters like as they were walking home or something, they would be singing these songs on the streets. But because they kept all of the musical numbers in the Kit Kat Club, even though they're very stylized, unbelievably beautifully choreographed by Bob Fosse. I mean, the musical numbers are amazing.
They're amazing.
They're amazing, and what's so amazing about them is the way that they were shot. Jeffrey Unsworth, who many people might know from Superman the movie, Jeffrey Unsworth, one of the great cinematographers of the day, shot this film. He won an Academy Award for his cinematography. These films are shot like what we would later see in MTV music videos. The cinematography and the choreography are both so well developed and timed. Really incredible.
Yeah, very incredible. And I love how they foreshadow or they foretell like what's happening in the real world.
Right.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you see juxtaposed, this great nightlife that's happening throughout the film. You're very aware that socialism is on the rise, Nazism is on the rise, and it's definitely shown as being on the fringes, but how it's sort of creeping in to everyday society. And Marissa Berenson, for those of you who are Barry Lyndon fans, is in the movie. She plays a beautiful Jewish heiress that one of the characters who claims to be a gigolo falls in love with. One of the friends of Michael York and Sally Bowles, who Liza Minnelli plays. Mm-hmm. So they've got this kind of group of friends that they're all sort of party animal, not degenerate, but debauched.
Yeah. And as the film goes on, it gets a little more serious and more serious and more serious.
Yeah, well, it does. I mean, as the characters' lives, it's very free to be you and me. There's a reference for you at the beginning, but as the movie goes along, everyone is sort of leading these lives of quiet desperation. They never know where their next paycheck is going to come from. They're constantly looking for things, looking for money, and Michael York's character and Sally Bowles, who Liza Minnelli's playing, their friendship deepens. They learn more and more about one another. They develop an intimacy. They become lovers.
Yes.
And they basically just are enjoying the nightlife of Berlin. And then their gigolo friend, who falls in love with this Jewish heiress,
right?
She won't have any of him, and she's a virgin herself, and she's not used to his ways, and he
right.
falls madly in love with her and wants her to marry him, but she won't.
She won't because he's not a Jew.
Because he's not a Jew.
But in reality, he is a Jew.
He is a Jew. Yes, he is. And he's been hiding that because he knows...
At that point, he doesn't know what to do, because if he admits he's a Jew, he's going to be in trouble because of the Nazis. But if he doesn't admit that he's a Jew, then he'll lose her.
Well, yeah. I think what I find really interesting about this movie is, and it's always fascinated me about what happened in Germany after World War I. Obviously, the country was depressed, paying war reparations, but then you had this incredible period of artistic creativity, and the Kit Kat Club kind of represents that Germany. That Germany where at night anything can happen. You never know who you're going to wind up with. You might wind up with some multi-millionaire who buys you furs and takes you to the countryside and wants to take you to Africa, and ends up having sex with both Liza Minnelli and Michael York.
Not at the same time.
Not at the same time, and that was a big thing when the portrayal of bisexuality in this movie was a big deal. Well, so tell me, how did you feel? The film was shot in Germany?
Yes.
And how did you feel? Did you feel that it really evoked that period? Did you feel you were in 1931 Berlin?
Yeah, absolutely. It totally gives you that sense, that feeling. The funny thing when I think about this, compared to The Sound of Music, which we just watched, both set during, the Nazi occupation, and very, very, very different.
But what was really, they are different, but it was also dealing with, I mean, I don't know if Captain Von Trapp you'd consider him a normal person, but it still showed how families and everyday people were going to be affected by what tore Europe apart in the 30s and 40s, which was the rise of fascism. And what was sort of interesting is that, for me, the Cabaret represented everything that was about to be lost. All of the fun, the
freedom,
the freedoms, the excitement of what Europe of the time represented. And it was all going to be swept away. And Fosse does a great job of showing this slow encroachment.
Yes.
To the point where Marissa Berenson, this nice Jewish heiress, these jack-booted brown coat thugs or brown shirt thugs, they kill her dog. Yeah,
and leave it at her doorstep. That was traumatic.
So, I mean, how did you feel about, obviously that's on the fringes. It's not a movie necessarily about Nazis.
Right.
Although it's about the oncoming, the curtain that's about to descend on everyone. It's there at every moment of the film.
It definitely coats it and gives it, this sense of dread. And as it goes on, you get this stronger sense of oh no, what's going to happen to these people?
What did you think of Liza Minnelli's character? What did you think of Sally Bowles? How did you feel about her?
I loved her. I loved her free spirit. She just did whatever she felt like she wanted to do. And that's something I never did.
And she was enormously talented as well.
So talented.
I mean, everybody kept wow, you're really, all the people, she would meet people on the streets and be like, come to my club.
Yeah.
I mean, Liza Minnelli won an Academy Award. She won the Best Actress at the 1970. Well, the awards are in 73, but for 72, this movie won 8 Academy Awards, and as many people might remember, it was also came out the same year The Godfather came out. The Godfather only won 3 Academy Awards, and The Godfather did in fact win Best Picture, but Cabaret won Best Director, Best Actress for Liza Minnelli, Best Supporting Actor for Joel Grey. It also won the Academy Award for Editing. This movie and All That Jazz, which is interesting that a choreographer's choreographer became director. This movie and All That Jazz are the two movies that made me want to become an editor. It was the first time growing up, that I realized how important editing was. It was the first time I really was impressed by editing. And Alan Hyam, who edited All That Jazz, did not edit this film. But Bob Fosse's editing, I can only imagine he brought it was hugely, these two movies, Cabaret and All That Jazz, were hugely impactful on me, personally. So what else can you tell us about the film? What did you think of the music?
I loved the music. Thought the music was great, especially, while they were all the Cabaret pieces, but some of them were very humorous and dark at the same time. Yeah, I loved it. I loved what was his name? The guy,
the Master of Ceremonies.
Yes.
Joel Grey. He doesn't have a name. He's just the Master of Ceremonies.
Yeah, he's amazing in this film. Amazing.
Amazing.
And I don't think the film would be the same without him. Like, if he hadn't been cast for that.
Oh, well, it's a performance for the ages.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such an incredible film. And another one of the things that I love about this movie is it's got my favorite kind of sort of contrasty cinematography. It really feels like you're there.
Yeah.
Like, this cabaret is not overlit. Like, it's not too stylized.
Right.
It really feels like this kind of a nightclub, and it really adds, the way it's shot really adds to the believability and how you feel about what's going on. Because at first you never know with musicals, but it really does bring you. You keep waiting for it to like break into a traditional musical, and it never does.
No, it doesn't.
And I mean, they live in this house. They live in this old woman's house where all these crazy characters live. There's this old guy that writes pornography in German, but wants it translated into English.
Right. She recommends her boyfriend to translate it, and he's like, this is pornography. She's like, yeah.
No, I mean, it really is. It really feels like you really want to. Like, I would love to have hung out with all these people.
Yeah.
I would love to have. I remember when I was in college, we read a lot about Weimar Germany, the Weimar Republic, and like the Bauhaus School, and what was going on in Germany, this incredibly creative period of time, everything from architecture to painting to film. I mean, it was amazing, and this incredible. I mean, what happened to Germany, the rise of National Socialism, is fascinating, but to see how it wiped out all of this art.
It did.
And this whole realm was lost.
It was. I mean, he really set a lot of things back.
Yes.
Way back.
But that's one of the things about this is it really is a celebration of, I think, of the German culture, what the German people lost.
Yes.
And this does represent all of it. Like, all of that creativity that was going on was all, because it was all the creative people that, I mean, you didn't really meet a lot of the people that went to that cafe or went to the cabaret.
Except that rich guy who...
Right, he would come by, their friend, their bisexual rich friend who's also married, but you never meet his wife.
Never.
There's a lot of degenerate sex going on in this movie, which I approve of.
Of course you do.
So, but I just love the evocation of the whole period. I mean, everything, because they did shoot on the streets of Berlin and the countryside,
really awesome.
and it was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Now, did you think there was too much music, or was there not enough music?
No, I think it was the perfect amount. I don't think there was too much or too little.
Because the movie's not that long. I mean, it's little over 2 hours.
Yeah.
But the musical numbers are all so different, even though they're all in the cabaret. I mean, whether it's Liza Minnelli singing, and she really does get to focus on her voice. Interestingly enough, Bob Fosse that year, he won an Emmy, he won a Tony, and he won the Oscar for direction. Because he also did, for television, he did Liza with a Z, which was a live concert performance of Liza Minnelli's that won him an Emmy. And then, did he win the Tony? I don't know. It wasn't for Chicago, I don't think. It was for something.
I don't know.
I don't know. But it was amazing. I mean, it was a good year for Bob Fosse.
Yeah.
But in terms of his visuals, a lot of people remember him for his dance and choreography work. But the guy was an incredible director. I mean, he worked the camera the same way that he worked dancers. And the way this film is shot is spectacular. The shot choices, just unbelievable.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Especially when they're out in the countryside and they're having lunch, the two guys.
Oh, yeah.
And then that young boy starts singing and you think, oh, how pretty this guy is singing.
Well, that's one of the way they set that up.
Yeah.
Tell
this young man starts singing.
And you see a close-up just of his face.
And he's, singing, and then
our country and the beautiful countryside and
you think it's like a folk song, probably like from that area or whatever. And
you see everybody starts to listen.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, I know that song.
Yeah, what a beautiful song.
And then as the camera backs out and it starts showing more of him, and he's wearing a swastika on his arm, and then you start seeing people in the audience starting to stand up and start to join him, to join in the song. And you see there was one guy who was just like,
yeah, there's the old guy. You're right.
Yeah, the old guy.
But you see, that scene is basically what happens to Germany.
Yeah.
And it was done so well. It was done the way it's set up and the way he does it. And then you see, of course, Michael York and his friend, they bail.
They leave.
They get the hell out. And they kind of represent the party animal culture that's about to be swept away by these jackbooted thugs.
Right.
But it was a great moment, and that's the only time you really hear a song, like a musical number outside of the cabaret.
Right. But it also wasn't a song like between two people, like an not realistic moment where in musicals where people just sing to each other.
Right.
It felt like that could really happen, just somebody singing to a crowd.
Yeah, so. Literally, that's people did that, breaking into song. It was like in a beer garden somewhere,
right. Like
they're having schnitzel and frankfurters and big gigantic steins of beer that made me want one so bad watching it. So what else about this movie? It really did. Musicals had been dying.
Yes.
Musicals were dying on the vine. They were out of touch. Mm-hmm. They were old-fashioned, and we were dealing with the beginnings of movies like Easy Rider had come out, and in 1972, like The Godfather, Hollywood was in the midst of a total creative revolution, and this was Fosse's contribution, where he basically just said, the old ways of making the musicals, they're done.
Yeah.
We're finished. There'll never be another musical like this ever again.
Right.
And Cabaret really did represent the future.
Yep.
So when you were seeing this, was it? You and I both love La La Land, which is more of a traditional. It harks back to more of the traditional musical than Cabaret does, because people start singing to each other.
Yeah, I love La La Land.
Well, I do too, but this film,
it won the Oscar. Oh wait, no, it didn't.
No, come on now. Here, should we open the envelope? Here, look, I have an envelope here. Let's open this envelope. Oh, look, it's my Master Replicas Enterprise, Starship Enterprise. Look, here it is. I win, because I've got this 1/350th scale, signed by Nimoy and Shatner. What that has to do with anything, I don't know. But it would be like opening the wrong envelope. That's what I just did. It wasn't about Cabaret.
I loved your reenactment. That was wonderful.
Yeah, was it?
And then it turned into a Star Trek thing.
Yeah, why not? Doesn't everything? In this house, everything turns into a Star Trek thing.
Right.
So, okay, how are you doing on the wine there, sister?
I would like some more, please.
Yes, please. May I have some more? Please, sir, may I have another?
Which is another musical.
Yeah, but more of a classical musical. So, now, what did you think of the whole tone of this movie? How did you feel about it? How did you feel? There's comedic elements, there's dramatic elements. It's like joyful and depressing and gritty all at the same time. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Which I thought was pretty amazing for a musical. Now, did it take you a while to get into it, or you captivated? They do that. What I love about this is they juxtapose a number, the first number, as Michael York is arriving into Berlin. Right. And he's looking for a room, and so you've got that, who is this guy and where is he going? And then you're given the whole milieu. You're introduced to Joel Grey first, mm-hmm. as the master of ceremonies. Right. And he's kind of, I always saw him as this Machiavellian character, because he's always about the dark side.
Yeah.
I mean, did you feel that he was in a way sort of? I felt he was almost borderline supernatural, because you always see him in makeup.
Yeah.
And he's the way he's introduced.
His lips are mesmerizing, like the way they did the lipstick, and you just watching his mouth constantly.
Well, do you remember, like, the first shot of the movie is the camera's looking at this. It's almost like it's a piece of metal that the camera's looking at.
Yeah.
And then he pops up into the frame.
The reflection in like a silver picture or something.
Right, and it's so great because he represents, I mean, in a way, and then the end of the movie bookends that by showing that same thing, and the camera passes by it, and you just see the whole audience full of Nazis watching, and Joel Grey has gone away.
Yes.
It's like Joel Grey Joel Grey represented that whatever that creative impulse is.
Right, that freedom to be creative.
To be human.
Yes.
To indulge in your sensual delights and the people and places. And I mean, it was all about the decadence of I mean, that whole idea of you can just live in Europe and meet rich people, and you might be living off a couple dimes a day, but you're going to meet rich people that'll buy you things, and you'll wind up hanging out with socialites as long as you're in the Kit Kat Club and you're being creative. And you know Joel Grey, and the Nazis swept all of that away.
Yes, they did.
So, how did you feel like when were you captivated from the very beginning?
Yes, I was.
You were.
I was drawn in from the beginning. Yeah. There wasn't a moment where I was like, oh, this is dragging along. I wish this was over.
Well, it remains interesting. You have no idea where this movie's going.
No, you don't. You really don't.
And that's one of the things that I love about this film.
Yeah.
And, it came out a year after movies like A Clockwork Orange, another one of my favorite movies of all time. Mm-hmm. And there was just something about, I think when I started watching movies, like when I saw Cabaret, I saw it after I saw All That Jazz. All That Jazz, I really wanted to see it. I knew nothing about Bob Fosse. It was 1979.
Did he make All That Jazz after?
Yes. He made Lenny after he made Cabaret. That came out in 1974. And then All That Jazz came out in 1979.
Is Lenny good?
It's great.
Wow.
Yeah, and what's interesting is All That Jazz is about the making of Lenny. It's a roman à clef on his life. We'll have to watch it. It's so great.
Yeah, you showed it to me.
Yeah. Well, you should watch it again.
Okay.
But so tell me more about like what about this movie surprised you?
The whole story surprised me.
Because I didn't tell you anything about what it was about.
Nothing, and so I just thought it was about a cabaret. I didn't think that it was set in Germany in the 1930s, and that there were Nazis in it, and that it hits so many issues, like homosexuality and bisexuality, and being a Jew in Germany and those kind of things. I had no clue.
By the way, when this movie first aired on television, I think it aired on ABC, they cut out all references to Michael York being bisexual.
Oh, I'm sure they did.
It was all cut out. You wouldn't know. Which, I mean, I don't know how they get into it. Michael York talked about, there's a really interesting shot in the movie before it's revealed that Michael York is in this relationship. And it's a single shot that he improv'd on the set where the camera is swirling around all of them. Mm-hmm. And it comes to rest sort of on Michael York's face. And if you're paying attention, the photography in this movie.
Yeah.
This movie is so, the intelligence with which it's directed. I mean, David Fincher has said, I read it, that his favorite movie of all time is All That Jazz. And I think, David Fincher, and I would imagine Paul Thomas Anderson, are very precise directors. And that's why I love their movies, because whether you love them or not, you feel that what you're getting is, the authorship is very strong. It's not like Michael Bay, who I'm going to set up 10 cameras and shoot everything and then cut it together in the edit room. You really feel every shot and every edit and every setup in this film has been meticulously thought about, and even when he wants to improvise, that's what a choreographer, that's what a dancer can do, like a jazz musician can do. And Fosse, he didn't make many movies. This is only his second feature.
Right.
And most directors would work for 50 years trying to make a movie like this. Mm-hmm. I mean, did it, like, I'm captivated by this movie every time I watch it. Did you feel that way about it? I mean,
well, yeah, it felt very creative. Like, he really came from a place of like an artist. He, you know, the way it's edited together, the way the scenes are put together, the foreshadowing with the songs, and even like when they're beating up the
club owner.
patron. Yeah. He was the club owner.
Well, you think you never really see him again.
Right. Yeah, when he's getting beat up, it cuts between a dance number where they're like slapping each other, and it's like this festive folk kind of dance, and then like he's getting beat up, and it was like back and forth. It was like an amazing way to put that together.
And, you know, in the world of MTV later in the 80s and 90s, editorial, and it became that you saw a lot more of things like that. But he was really pioneering that.
Wow.
And he was really the same way. Again, no one will. I know Rob Marshall's a choreographer too, but he even said in the documentary that Fosse's his idol. Now, the question is, do you think, like, obviously this deals with heavy subject matter.
Yes.
But in the context of a musical, do you think all of that worked? Do you think that, like, it was okay to address the sweeping away of artistic impulse underneath what socialism, the rise of socialism, did that work in the context of a musical? Do you think it all came through, everything that Bob Fosse was trying to say with this movie?
Yeah, definitely, because they're so different. Like in reality, all this stuff is happening outside, and then in the Kit Kat Club, you've got these, you know, you've got folly, you've got joy, and but then it's also gritty and foreshadowing. It's
not like the Moulin. It's not like the Can and Moulin Rouge. You know,
right?
It's kind of a grungy club.
It's grungy.
It is grungy.
It's very grungy.
You don't know. There's been a lot of grungy things that have happened in the Kit Kat Club.
Yeah, you could imagine.
Right, and I think that again, Fosse brought that. It's a seedy club.
It is.
I mean, they live this seedy lifestyle.
Yeah, and the numbers that they do. I mean, like the girls are like half dressed, and you know, they invented twerking. There was some twerking in this movie. Who knew?
Oh, well,
that twerking was invented in this movie in 1972.
Yeah, and if Bob Fosse was the man to come up with twerk. Well, his work, of course, the erotica number and all that jazz was hugely influential. It was recreated in music videos and things like that. So,
yep.
We have some people have sent in some chats. We don't have any letters. By the way, if you want to send letters to this show, you can do so if you just send them to me at theburnettwork.net. Just put in the subject matter, subject heading, Eliza Views. So let's see what people have said here. First of all, Felix Leiter. Leave it to Felix, because, we're in the same intelligence organization. Felix Leiter says, "Oh, high overlord of opulence, I know there is no definitive answer to this question which I pose, but I don't think I've ever heard your best guess as to the end of Inception. As Gandalf once said, these are the questions that need answering." Okay, I'll tell you, Felix. I believe that none of Inception ever was set in the real world. The whole movie is a dream. All of it. And I think at the end of the movie, Dom is still dreaming. And I think that that's okay, because everything that he's going through, I mean, I love Inception. I saw it 8 times in the theater. And I think the movie is a profound film about love and loss and guilt. And I think, yes, his kids, he probably, if you look at it, the whole movie is so weird. Like, he can't go back to the United States. Nothing. They go to Mombasa. Nothing in that movie is real. It's all a dream. And I know Christopher Nolan said, well, no, some parts of it are real. If you watch the film closely, I don't think any of it is real. And I think that's okay. I think the entire film is full of dream logic, and I don't think any of it's real. What do you think?
It's been a while since I've seen it.
Ooh, let's watch it again.
I didn't get the sense that it was always a dream, although There's like dream upon dream upon dream, so it's really hard to tell.
Yeah.
But I loved the movie.
Because it's great. Claudius. Uh-oh. Bonjour, mon ami. Content de te voir? This is the first time we've ever watched Cabaret. It was not what we thought it was. Liza Minnelli and Joel Grey owns their roles. Note, the movie alludes to the black jazz musicians in Berlin during the 1930s. Absolutely it does. By the way, if you want to see... I love jazz music, and one of my favorite movies about jazz stars Dexter Gordon, and it is called, it's Bertrand Tavernier. Is that how you'd say his name? Bertrand Tavernier.
I'd have to see it.
It seems like whenever I say a French word that I don't know how to speak it, I just have to say like Pepe Le Pew. Yeah, Bertrand Tavernier. If you have not seen Round Midnight, one of my favorite movies about jazz. It's so good. I loved it, but Claudius might not feel that way. But yes, the black jazz musicians are forever known as the Blas musicians.
Do you need some more wine, honey?
I haven't even. This is my No, but I'm a big fan, and yes, they're. You don't see a lot of. It does allude to that because but the musicians are even the cabaret dancers. But yes, yeah. So.
Right.
But to me, I always think of black jazz musicians going to Paris because of Round Midnight. Round Midnight takes place in Paris, and but there's definitely that expats. They were treated much better, I think, in Germany and France than they were in America. Black jazz musicians.
Oh yeah.
Unless you're in New Orleans or something.
Totally.
By the way, one of the patriarchs of the Marsalis family passed away. Let's hear it from the Marsalis family. So. Yes, so it does allude to the jazz music. I'm glad you liked it. You'd never seen it. It's totally different. Now, was it different from what you thought it was going to be? Like you said, it was
totally different than what
you had no idea, because I didn't tell you.
No idea. Nope.
Like, it was funny, because I was thinking about what should we watch, and I just saw this on the shelf, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I could think of was, like, it was probably going to be similar to Moulin Rouge. But it wasn't.
No, Moulin Rouge is a
spectacular.
Yeah, it's a complete phantasmagoria. There's nothing real in Moulin Rouge. I love Moulin Rouge too. I do, but there's nothing real in it.
No.
It's completely
this is very different than that.
Yeah, very different than that.
Yeah.
Orville Nation sent in a super chat and says, "Loving your review, guys." Well, thank you, Orville Nation. I appreciate it. I like Orville Nation. I got to meet Alan Dean Foster, if only over the internet, because of Orville Nation. So if you guys don't follow Orville Nation on Twitter or on YouTube, you should follow them.
On YouTube?
Did I say YouTube?
Yes, you said YouTube.
Wow. Apparently, I didn't eat anything all day except what we just threw down my gullet before I started the show. I had lots of work to do. Mandy Morgan sent in a tip and says, uh-oh. Bonsoir, mon ami. This is on behalf of my husband, Christopher Robin, who has been a huge fan of Robservations for some time, and now Elizaviews, which he introduced me to and we watched together. May I request a special karaoke episode? Santé.
Oh.
Is that Santé?
Yes.
A special do we have to sing the whole, like Umbrellas of Cherbourg?
Well, I don't sing very well.
We have to sing everything we talk about.
We would have to have 2 bottles of wine.
Tell me what you thought of this movie.
She didn't mean right now.
I'm just wondering, like, if it's karaoke, do we actually sing a song together?
Maybe a duet?
Like a duet? Do we do that? Like, Ebony and... No, not that kind of a duet.
No. The Kenny Rogers and
oh, come on now.
And Kenny Rogers and
Islands in the Stream?
Yes. Islands in the Stream.
I'm not going to sing Islands in the Stream on the show.
Come on.
No, I'm not going to sing that.
It's a great duet.
And Kenny Loggins or Kenny Rogers. Kenny Rogers just passed away, so
he
maybe
did. So
I wouldn't want to. It's too soon to besmirch his memory.
Besmirch.
I mean, me singing. Oh, look at that.
Oh, I want some of that.
I know. You can kill the bottle. Look at you.
Whoa, wait. Oh. You gave me a lot more than...
All right, well, here.
No.
All right, I didn't think you did. There you go. Well, Mandy, I want to thank you and Christopher Robin. I love that you're watching this show together.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I wonder, would you guys come on the show and sing karaoke with us?
Yeah.
We could do a quartet of something.
Ooh. Although I don't sing very well, but I'll try.
You don't?
No.
How can you not sing very well?
I love to sing. I just don't think that I'm...
Well, say we're having a karaoke night right now and you have to sing something. What's your go-to karaoke song?
I don't sing karaoke.
Well, if you were at the Kit Kat Club, what song would you sing? Like, would you bust out some Liza Minnelli? Like, if you were Sally Bowles, Liza Minnelli's character, what would you sing at the Kit Kat Club?
No, it would have to be a song where the range is like...
Okay, but what would that be? Like, come on, there must be a song that you've...
No.
Come on, man. What's your go-to karaoke song?
I don't have a karaoke song because
Everybody has a karaoke song.
I don't sing karaoke.
Come on, man.
What's your karaoke song?
Copacabana. Manilow.
Wow.
I bust out the Manilow.
Okay.
Her name was Lola. She was a showgirl. I've done this a million times. With yellow feathers in her hair and a dress cut down to there, she would merengue and do the cha-cha. And while she tried to be a star, Tony always tended bar across the crowded floor. Well, they worked from 8 till 4. They were young and they had each other. Come on, man. You gotta have a karaoke song. Claudia says, Monsieur Robert and Madame Elizabeth, grand choix de film. Vous étiez magique ensemble, or magic together.
We're magic together.
Hopefully Elizabeth can understand my bad French. It's not any worse than mine, let me tell you, Claudius. My French couldn't be any worse. I like going, Monsieur Robert and Madame Elizabeth. Grand choix de film. What does that even mean? I don't even know. I have no idea.
30,000 subs.
Oh, Elizabeth, your opinion on the masterpiece called Free Enterprise. It was a cult hit from the 2000s that was made by a very talented person. I did not even tell him.
Have I ever seen that movie? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yes, I've seen it multiple times.
What is your opinion on it?
I love it. I think it's great. It's funny. It's charming. And most people don't know this, but I grew up watching Star Trek, so... Yeah.
Me too.
I was a secret Star Trek fan.
A secret Star Trek fan.
Well, I mean, for me, it was like... Before I met you, I didn't even know that it was like... That you were a certain kind of person if you liked it.
Well, I don't know if you're a certain kind of person.
Well, I mean, you know.
One day we'll have to do that. We'll have to do whining about movies where you'll have to put me on the spot and ask me questions, pointed questions.
Yes. We could review your movie.
Well, you would have to review it. All I have to say is... I could
interview you.
I have just mistakes. I just see the mistakes that I want to go rectify.
Well, you should.
I want to do... I would like to. That's what I want to do is I would like to. I mean, who knows? I would like to rectify those mistakes. So back to Cabaret. I mean, obviously musicals are not, they used to be a huge part of Hollywood. Hollywood started out making musicals like the Broadway Follies and musical, and then they sort of really fell from favor. I mean, some people try to make, like, Francis Coppola made One from the Heart in the early 80s. That was something that he did, and I have that, but I'm waiting for it to come out on Blu-ray. I don't know if you'd like One from the Heart.
I don't know it.
No, but it's like it was done in the 80s, but there's not a lot of musicals. Not a lot of musicals happened.
No, not until La La Land.
Well, there were other musicals. I mean, Les Mis, that got turned into a movie.
Oh, right. That's true.
But it wasn't the same kind of thing.
I loved Les Mis. It was very good.
I loved Les Mis too.
Love the music.
I did too. I saw the play. Yeah. Like when I grew up, I went and saw, my grandmother took me, I love musicals growing up.
Yeah.
Like I saw things like The Fantastics, and I saw Cats, and I saw Les Mis, and I saw West Side Story, and you and I have seen a few.
Yeah.
We saw the Amelie musical.
Yes, we did.
It's okay.
It was very different than the movie.
But it was all right.
Yeah.
I kind of liked it.
Yeah.
I thought it was good. Timbula, the spider monkey, sent in a tip and said, I've been known to wander around the check-in counters at the airport singing If You Could See Her. Strangely enough, there are not many people there at this moment to appreciate it, but an empty terminal has great reverb.
Wow, how fun.
Wow, man, I like that.
Yes.
I mean, I've been a fan of Timbula the Spider Monkey for a long time. He's been a longtime supporter of the Burnettwork, and he obviously is from Australia, which I love.
Right.
Alexander Wilson sends in a super chat and says, I feel like after the shows are over, Rob puts on the Isley Brothers Between the Sheets. And we know what happens when Ron Isley hits those high notes. I don't know. I can't speak to that. I can't speak to that. You know, I am very oral.
Okay. Next question.
I don't know if that's a question. Hey, look who came here. The Victory Unlimited show came. Whenever Victory Unlimited show comes, you have to say, Victory Unlimited show. How are you, Victory Unlimited show? Once again, thank you so much for supporting the channel. Pennies from Heaven was another great movie musical with Bernadette Peters and Steve Martin.
Oh, I don't know that one either.
You know what, though? I don't know if I love Pennies from Heaven. It's good, but I don't know if I love it. Right now, I'm rewatching Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid. It's not a musical, but it is a must-see for film buffs and Steve Martin fans. I love Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid. You should see that.
I would like to.
It's good.
Do you have it?
I do not own Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid. I don't own it. I don't own Dream On either, which was a TV series that HBO put out in the 90s that reminded me of Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid because they kind of ripped off the conceit. But Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid's pretty good. I like Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid. I'm down with that. So I mean, back to Cabaret and back to musicals. I mean, what makes a good musical for you? Like, you like them, but what makes a good one?
Well, the music, first of all, and I love when they're whimsical, although I wouldn't call this one
This isn't whimsical, I don't think at all.
No, but I still really liked this. I think the story, too, has to be really good. So.
But you like this story?
I loved this story.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, and it's about something. It's very substantive.
Yeah, it is.
Like, if you remove the music from this movie, it would still be a compelling film.
Right. You could, put in some more scenes and it would be a wonderful movie.
Yeah, I think so, too.
Without being a musical.
Right. Which is good.
Yeah, so the story is very good, compelling.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things about this that I love. You could have made this a straight drama.
Yeah, you could have.
And it would have been great.
Yeah, I agree.
Really, and it could just explore the more artistic side of you would have seen other nightclubs and things other than the Kit Kat Club.
Yeah, but I'm glad that it was a musical because the music part is wonderful.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah,
and the choreography again, it's great. Don Peters wants to know: suppose Cabaret had taken place on the bridge of the Enterprise. Shatner's song, Fosse still does the choreography. Hey, you know what? If they can do a musical episode of Buffy and then everybody follows suit, once more with feeling, the battle's won and we're kind of done and we'll shed a victory tear. Tell me, where do we go from here? I would love to see a Star Trek musical.
That would be.
I think a Star Trek musical would be amazing.
Yes.
And
I'm down.
I think it would be fantastic.
Yep.
You really could do a great Star Trek musical.
Yeah, you really could.
But you'd have to have somebody. The book would have to be amazing, But think about it. Think about Spock's song, and what's it like to be torn between two worlds, and then Kirk's song, the being in command, and I'm a doctor, not a ... That's a musical number.
There you go.
Down in engineering, there's a musical number.
Beam me up.
Yeah, beam me up. I think actually you could do a really great Star Trek musical.
I would love to see that.
I would love to see it too. But I would do it I wouldn't do it like Cabaret. You would have to do it. You'd have to do it like a Moulin Rouge. It would have to be whimsical,
spectacular.
But it'd also have to be a great Star Trek story. You'd have to have a great Star Trek story.
Yeah, the story would have to be good for sure. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to do it without a good story. Then it would just be cheese.
I like the idea though of doing a Star Trek musical.
Yeah, I love it.
I think it'd be great. Yeah, it'd be. The song titles just write themselves. You know, you'd have to have there'd have to be some new alien species or some alien race. The Gorn, maybe the Gorn gets to finally sing. You finally get to, you know, hear from the Gorn captain, or I mean, there's and it would have to be original series, by the way, because you've seen that video of Patrick Stewart dancing on the bridge of the Enterprise.
Yeah,
but it shows that it could work.
Yes, it definitely could work.
When Patrick Stewart's doing his dance number, it could totally work.
Yes.
But so back to Cabaret. I mean, Fosse only made after Cabaret. He only made, I believe, he made Lenny, All That Jazz, and Star 80, and that was it for him.
Yeah, then
he passed away in 87.
Yeah.
You know, which is what he knew. He knew his life on this world was going to be shorter than most. I think he was like 57 or 60 when he died, something like that.
60, I think.
60, and he knew. I mean, he was a party animal. So, a party animal.
Yeah.
Claudia says the Star Trek musical George Takei could be Master of Ceremonies.
Yes.
I don't know, man. That's a little. I think you need the Master of Ceremonies. Might be the alien. You know, maybe that was maybe it would be like in Buffy it was a spell that caused everybody to sing. But what about if it was an alien and that's why that an alien species could only converse musically?
Could be Q.
Yeah, the Q. Yeah, well, he would have to be in it. But if it's the classic Enterprise, you can't do that.
It doesn't have to be classic.
Yes, it does.
Nah.
Come on, man.
Anyway, half of them are dead, and Shatner is very old. Although
Shatner,
he does love to sing. He does love his raps.
Yes, but he's in continuity. Kirk died.
Right.
He died. Captain Kirk died 26 years ago in canon. 26 years ago. That's a long time. Reichelt Music sent in a super chat and says, Star Trek musical is gold. I want in. Let's make this happen,
Yes.
team. Haha. We need a lavish budget, though. Like, I would like to see, like, a gigantic musical number on a planet with an alien species.
Yes. Gotta kickstart that stuff.
Yeah, well, no, I'm never going to kickstart anything that has anything to do with Star Trek ever again.
Oh, really?
Unless it's licensed, I'm not going to do it. No way, no how. No way, no how. Not going to do it.
Yeah.
No.
Probably not a good idea.
Mm-mm. No.
Yeah.
Alexander Wilson says an underrated musical is The Blues Brothers. Is that underrated though, Alexander? Come on, man. The Blues Brothers is great.
Yeah.
And plus, look at all the people. When James Brown came on screen, I knew it was special. Next movie on tap. And Jim Belushi just had it. The Blues Brothers is great. I think that it should have concentrated more on the music. It's too overblown in terms of the car crashes and all that, but it's got some great musical numbers in it.
I don't remember it. I'm pretty sure I've seen it.
Oh, well, they're on a mission from God. The Blues Brothers are.
I don't know.
Well, you should know. Claudia says that the Star Trek musical, Chris Pine can sing. He is canonical Kirk. Yeah, but he's only canonical Kirk in the Kelvinverse. Actually, that would probably save the Kelvin universe. If they made a Star Trek musical, I'll bet you, if they talk about bringing back George Kirk, I bet if they bring back Chris Hemsworth and Chris Pine, if you made a Star Trek musical, think about that cast. Quinto can probably sing. Zoe Saldana, I bet, can sing.
Yes.
I don't know if Simon Pegg can sing, but he would try. I mean, that's the way to do. You know what? I'm all for a Kelvinverse Star Trek musical.
Yes.
I am all for that. I think that would be great.
That would be awesome.
It would be awesome. And you don't have to spend $200 million to make it.
No.
I mean, it would be... And get Damien Chazelle to direct. The director of La La Land. Mm-hmm. And get his composer to write the book.
Yes.
I mean, it would be... I'd love that. I don't think he would ever do it. But...
You never know.
You never know.
You could do anything for the right amount.
Yes. Yes, you can. Because it ain't show friends. It's show business. It's show business. But I don't want to like end this episode and not do we can't talk about Star Trek. I talk about Star Trek all the time, 24 hours a day.
How did this turn into Star Trek?
I don't know. Well, it turned into Star Trek because right here I have my Master Replicas envelope that has the Kirk and Spock picture that shows that my Enterprise was actually signed by the two of them. That's true. That's why I have this here, because I've been going through the Robservatory trying to clean everything up. So, okay, we have our bottoms-up scale.
Yes.
Our bottoms-up scale on a scale of 1 to 4 glasses of wine. When you bottoms up them, how and since we are dealing with a cabaret where people's asses were flapping around, on the bottoms-up scale on the Elizaviews,
they were twerking.
Oh, you're gonna love this. Has Elizabeth seen The Lure?
Oh.
Now there's a musical to talk about.
That is an amazing musical. I love that film.
Who brought home the Criterion Blu-ray of The Lure?
You did, and I absolutely.
And what did I tell you?
You were like, "This is a
I said you were gonna love this movie."
Right, and I do, and I've seen it like 2 or 3 times now.
It's a Polish mermaid horror musical.
Yeah. It is fantastic. Like, I love that film.
The Lure. For those of you who have never seen The Lure, it is a debut film from a female director, and it is about a club, not unlike the Kit Kat Club in Cabaret, that ends up getting 2 mermaid sisters that wind up coming on. I know it sounds wacky.
It's a little wacky,
but if you've never seen The Lure, the music is great. It's a great musical.
It's great. It's great.
It's really great.
It's weird and great.
It is great. It is great. But I'm glad you watched that.
Yeah, I love that.
That is another beautiful. It's beautifully shot. It's really wacky, and it gives you a sort of a look into a different culture.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's great. Oh, Alexander Wilson says he's no longer with us. Yes, he is. He's always here, ladies and gentlemen. He's always here, and he's never too far away from my heart. I got this at his show at the Staples Center. Anyway. So Alexander Wilson says he's no longer with us, but would want a Prince-directed Star Trek musical would look like. Wonder what a Prince-directed Star Trek musical would look like. Also, what are y'all top 3 Prince songs of all time? Oh my God. Top 3 Prince songs of all time. That is a hard thing to say. I'll tell you what one of the top 3 is, though. And a lot of people won't cite this. Off Graffiti Bridge, Joy in Repetition is one of my favorite Prince songs. You don't know Prince the way I know Prince, though.
I liked Prince. He wasn't my favorite. Sorry.
I understand.
Yeah, I was more into Michael Jackson at that point.
It's the eternal debate. It's won by the fact that Prince could play a guitar. And every other instrument. I mean, not to besmirch Michael Jackson's memory. He was a great pop artist. He was the king of pop, but no one could touch Prince. I still maintain he's the greatest rock and roll guitarist ever.
I didn't hate Prince. He wasn't my favorite, though.
Joy in Repetition is one of my favorite Prince songs. And DMSR. There's something about the grind. DMSR. Actually, if you knew, 1999 on vinyl, side 2 is two discs. And side 2 is only 2 songs. It was DMSR and Let's Pretend We're Married. And, there's so many.
That's only 2. You need to give him a third.
Yeah, but I can't even. There's a million. It asked me which day. The Ride. There's an obscure song. If you got the time, I got the ride. Nobody would ever say that's one of the best Prince songs, but I love that song. As a matter of fact, I have a Japanese laser disc of The Sacrifice of Victor, which is a live Prince show, and he does a scorching version of that song live on that disc. I should rip that so I can have it on home video. I don't have that. Throg Sings the Blues is here. My favorite musical is Sleepy Hollow. I love Christopher Walken.
Oh.
Voice of an Angel, more cowbell. Sleepy Hollow's not a musical, brah. Come on.
I don't remember it being a musical.
It's not a musical. It's a Tim Burton movie. But Christopher Walken is a song and dance man. Unless he was in a Sleepy Hollow musical that I'm unaware of. Voice of an angel, more cowbell. I think Throg's having fun with us.
I think so too.
Bat Dance and Party Man? Claudius. Bat Dance and Party Man? Oh, hail, the new king in town. How does Prince rank among jokers? Wow, only a Prince fan would rep Graffiti Bridge. Bruh, I am a huge fan of the Graffiti Bridge album. Thieves in the Temple. Melody Cool. My name is Melody Cool. I was here long before you. I do no justice to her at all. But Melody Cool is a killer song. Yes, Graffiti Bridge is not a great film. And I told people, I worked at Warner Brothers when that movie was being made, and Prince almost backed into me with his turquoise BMW.
Wow.
Yeah, I was on my bike. That's a true story.
You should have, like, fallen over and so that he would get out of the car and see
The
if you were
only
okay.
reason that I didn't know he was in the car, first of all. I always drove by that way because I hoped to see him.
Yeah, and then he almost smashed you.
Yeah, I didn't know.
You should have pretended like he hurt you.
I would never do that.
Well, at least he would have gotten out of the car to see if you were okay.
No, he wouldn't have. His bodyguard got out of the car.
Oh.
Yeah. He never would have. Unless I told him, that
What?
I think DMSR is my favorite song. Or I would have talked about International Lover or Gone Back,
That would get him out of the car.
Dirty Mind. It's you I really want to drive. Anyway, it wouldn't have gone well. Bat Dance Party Man. Look, we gotta bring an end to this song. We were gonna talk, or end of the show. We were gonna talk about.
Oh yeah, the movie.
On the bottoms up scale, ladies and gentlemen. This episode. Hang on a second. Wait a second. This episode. Wait, let's go back to it. This episode is about Bob Fosse's amazing Oscar-winning 8 Oscars, including Best Director, Best Picture. Or not Best Picture. Godfather won Best Picture. Best Director, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actor, Best Cinematography, Best Editing.
Yep.
Incredible film. On the bottoms-up scale, on the Elizabeth's Whining About Movies bottoms-up scale, what would you give 1 to 4 glasses of wine? What would you give Cabaret?
I will give it 3.5.
You know what? I was going to say that too. Oh. Because for me, all that jazz is 4. This is a transcendent, but it doesn't get to my heart the way all that jazz does. It's not as fulfilling. And it doesn't have Ben Vereen in it, which Ben Vereen puts it over the top. So, okay, I'll go 3.5 stars with you.
Okay.
So 3.5 stars on the bottoms up scale. There goes our bottle of wine. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that brings an end to episode 10 of Elizabeth's Whining About the Movies. Obviously, as these episodes go along, in terms of time, by the half an hour mark, the wine's starting to bubble up, and we become more fun.
Yeah, we do.
We become more fun. A little open up,
yeah, but if we do a karaoke episode, we'll need 2 bottles of wine.
I have no problem. We should have 2 bottles of wine anyway.
No.
Yeah, we should.
3 nights a week? I don't think so.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, between the pasta we're eating and all that, it's I don't know. Well, we want to thank everybody for being here. We want to thank you for supporting the show, supporting the channel, supporting Elizabeth. Do you want to thank anybody in particular?
Thank you, PGS.
The Post-Geek Singularity. I hate it.
Thank you, Whiners.
We're not allowed to say PGS. You have to say Post-Geek Singularity and Imagination Connoisseurs. We don't abbreviate.
Well, you know what? The viewers of this show are whiners.
They are whiners.
So thank you, whiners.
Thank you, whiners. And on the bottoms up scale,
the scale
Nelson
goes to
Brothers.
4.
Here she comes. The Nelson Brothers. That's random.
I love them.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Now we're gonna see. We'll degenerate and talk about movies.
They're just trying to get us to sing.
Well, you don't sing. You don't sing or apparently speak French.
With enough wine.
Okay. Well,
I'll sing.
All right.
Maybe.
Okay. Maybe.
In the right song.
On the right song. Well, listen, everybody. we want to thanks for the support. If you want to write letters, you can send letters to the Burnettwork. Put Elizabeth's or Whining About Movies in the header. If you have suggestions of movies that we should watch,
send videos,
or wines we should drink, send videos. Not those kind of videos.
No, not those. We can't show those.
Well, we could just black out the parts. And if you make videos like that, we can't.
No.
You can't sing because copyright violations.
Oh,
So,
yeah, no singing.
I want to thank all of our moderating staff. First of all, Mayor Mike Bodden, and I want to thank, of course, Detective Jim Boyers, and I want to thank Greg Smith and Jordy Lyons and Louis Yu, who's my great moderator in the chat, and he's not even feeling well, and he's here. That's how great our moderating staff is. But most of all, I want to thank the Post-Geek Singularity community.
And I want to thank the Richard.
Oh, and the Richard, of course.
Who puts together the viewing parties.
Talk about the Richard.
Yeah, so he puts together the viewing parties before each show. And he put together the Facebook WINEning About Movies page.
And where can people find the Richard?
On Facebook.
No, but okay, there is a Post Geek Singularity Facebook page and a WINEning About Movies Facebook page, and you can go to those Facebook page.
Yes.
Look, people are like, so long, farewell, our leader's saying goodbye. Bronze Age slackers in there, they're harking back to Sound of Music.
Yes.
I like that. Well, we want to thank you all for being here, and please go leave a comment. If you like this show, hit like. Subscribe, or actually just subscribe to the Burnettwork, but just if you like this show, hit like on it. We can always
tell your friends.
Tell your friends, and we will be back on Monday with another movie. I don't know if it's another musical. Might as well. Maybe 2 more. I don't know. It's too bad we've already watched The Lure, though.
Oh, that would have been so good.
Yeah, The Lure would have been a really good. If you haven't ever seen The Lure, you really need to see The Lure. Yeah, you got to see The Lure. It's definitely something you need to see.
Yeah.
Well, Elizabeth. We've whined about movies enough tonight.
I think so.
I think so. So we're gonna call this an end to a show.
Yes.
But we want to thank you all for being here. And remember, every person you meet has what?
A story to tell.
Yeah, and
you just need to listen.
No, a story to tell you haven't heard. Yeah, a story to tell. Every person you meet has a story. How many times have you heard me say this?
A million times.
I've done it on my show 381 times, and on this show now 10. And you come on.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do it with me now again.
Okay.
Okay. Remember, every person you meet has what?
A story to tell.
That you haven't heard. All you have to do is listen.
Right. Listen.
And with that, we say to everyone,
have a better night.
Yeah, the sommelier of cinema says have a better night too.
Stay safe. Stay safe, everyone.
Yes, and she makes me wash my hands like 100 times a day.
Yes, I do.
So you should wash your hands too.
We wore masks when we went to buy the wine.
It's true, we did. And somebody recognized me from Robservations and hooked me up with some toilet paper. So
yeah.
Cheers to that. I can't cheers because I have
It wasn't a lot of toilet paper, but
hey, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. It was very nice of him to do that.
It was very nice. He dug it out of who knows where because there was none on the shelves.
No, there was none. He hooked us up.
Yes, he did. So Thank you. We didn't get his name, did we?
No. But we'll go back.
Thank you, Stater Brothers person.
Yes. Well, thanks very much. And as always, have a better night. Yes. Yeah. All right. We'll see you on Monday night. Thanks a lot. And if I could turn maybe I can, Good night.